Welcome back, students. This is part 3 of part 5 review for our test next Friday. So picking up from where we left off, election of 1800. So when Vice President Jefferson challenged President Adams in 1800, Americans had grown even more divided in their political views. A vote for Adams meant you supported the Federalist ideas of Hamilton, a view that considered average Americans as incapable of governing themselves. Thus, the nation required a strong federal government, led by the elite, wealthy few, that would take an active role in promoting American business through a national bank. And a vote for Adams also meant you didn't mind him taking away people's rights of free speech in order to, quote, keep Americans safe, end quote. On the other hand, a vote for Jefferson meant you believed the average American was capable of making decisions if provided with information. It meant more power to the states and the people and less power to the federal government. To promote the general welfare, the government would promote a traditional agricultural economy. Lastly, a vote for Jefferson meant you believed President Adams had violated the Constitution in signing the Alien and Sedition Acts. Writers and journalists were in jail, and a vote for Jefferson meant they should be freed immediately. Now, this election was even more nasty than the previous. The Democratic Republicans questioned Adams' intelligence and manhood, while the Federalists accused Jefferson of being an atheist and a cannibal. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole story of 3 weeks of tied votes, the surprise character who broke the tie. Let's just take a quick look at the results and review the main point about what made this election unique. First, Adams clearly lost. Second, the Democratic Republicans win. Jefferson eventually emerges as the winner. Looking back on it years later, Jefferson referred to this moment as a revolution. The Revolution of 1800. So, why revolution? Well, this election signals a shift or transfer in power from one political party to another. It was a dramatic election, not unlike our last election in 2016. And despite the division in political views, it was peaceful. There were no beheadings. Average American farmers did not hunt down, capture, and take their revenge out on wealthy elites. Instead, Adams and the Federalists accepted defeat, and Americans witnessed a peaceful and bloodless transfer of power. But what about those writers and journalists in jail, or the judges that put them there? As president, Jefferson chose to forgive. He pardoned those in jail, and despite years of criticizing Hamilton's national bank, he decided to keep it in place. He thought, maybe I can use this someday. Nevertheless, Jefferson brought change. He set a tone of simplicity and equality in the office of president. He envisioned an agricultural society of yeomen, farmers, who would spread the idea of liberty. And to spread it, he looked westward to expand the new nation's boundaries. In 1803, Jefferson found himself facing the opportunity of his dreams. To ensure American farmers would be able to export their crops to European markets, he wanted access to the port of New Orleans. He was prepared to offer the French $10 million for it. Exhausted trying to expand his empire, Napoleon offered the entire Louisiana territory for $15 million. Now, was that a good deal? How many cents an acre? That's right. I heard you say it. 3 cents an acre. Unbelievable. Now, the irony here is that Jefferson had advised, let's go back there. Jefferson advised a strict interpretation of the Constitution. He had always said that there was nothing in the Constitution that said he could acquire new lands. Thus, one can argue that by purchasing this land, Jefferson was acting like a hypocrite. Well, was he? Maybe, but how do you suppose Americans responded? As you can see from the 1804 election results, they didn't seem to mind. In fact, Jefferson was enormously popular at the end of his first term. His second term, however, was somewhat disastrous. Sailors continued to be impressed into the service of the British Navy, while France and Britain fought over territory. Pirates took advantage of all this chaos, bribing Americans. Americans continued to feel humiliated being caught in the middle of all this. And like his predecessors, Washington and Adams, Jefferson chose to stay neutral. He knew that America was not ready to engage in a war with European powers. But Jefferson took a gamble. He figured Europeans needed American exports, so much so they would leave Americans alone if we stopped trading with them. So he declared an embargo. Let's take a moment and analyze this cartoon. Look at the drawing and read the captions. Now, here's 3 questions to consider. Number 1, what symbol does the artist use to represent the embargo? Number 2, what clever trick does the artist use to specifically reference the embargo? I'll repeat that one. What clever trick does the artist use to specifically reference the embargo? Lastly, number 3, who is being hurt most by the embargo? In summary, Jefferson brought real change to the presidency. The Federalist era under Washington and Adams had come to an end. And Hamilton, you might remember, took a bullet in a duel. Jefferson proved to be quite flexible in his answer to the question, how powerful should the federal government be? And in being willing to go against his own principles, he doubled the size of the new nation, 3 cents an acre. However, his second term, his embargo really hurt the American economy. So let's review this little cartoon here. The embargo, the turtle, has taken away the license of American merchants to trade with other nations. The merchant screams, "Oh, this cursed oh grab me." Spelled backwards, oh grab me is embargo. In an effort to keep the nation isolated and out of war, Jefferson's embargo threatened the economic welfare of American merchants and seamen. All right, stay tuned for a shift in foreign policy under Little Applejack.